Welcome back. The past few days marked a very important visit by French President François Hollande to Egypt, which was the second leg of his tour, Middle East tour, that took him to Lebanon first, Egypt, and his final was Jordan. And of course, coming over to Egypt accompanied by 60 French businessmen and a high-level delegation, and signing more than 25 different economic agreements and memorandums of understanding. And of course, that included energy agreements, solar power agreements, education, in the field of education, in the field of commerce, and many other very important economic agreements for the sake of the development of Egypt were signed. And of course, we're going to shed some light on that very important visit to Cairo by the French president, that also included agreements on fighting terrorism, which was one of the main purposes for the French president. A meeting also was held, a press conference was held upon his arrival, and an inauguration, the second day of an economic forum that was held in Cairo, and that was attended by the French president and President El-Sisi. We're very delighted to have with us Dr. Gamal Qayoubi, the Future Center Manager for Economics and Politics. Hello, Dr. Qayoubi, and of course, how do you assess the visit by the French president and the timing of this visit as the second leg of his tour this time of the year?
First, you know well, that's Egypt's now tendency for economics. It's a matter of different directions, which it's allowed to give an opportunities for all the world to share in our developments and our future stage in terms of rearrange the populations, developments in infrastructures, also the way that's improve the investment, which it's a matter of a different character of economics. Portion of that part which is coming seriously and really important is the President Hollande visited to Egypt, and I think was arranged well and prepared well in terms of an advance to go for the targets needed by the governments, and also the targets in terms of why they need the French economics. French economics may passed in the last campaign transition stabilities of the growth factors, and this has come up to 3.8. And I think I would like the target of French president to improve that such activities in terms of exposed investment across out of the Europe. And the tower for that one, the most focal points part in Africa was Egypt. A lot of function related to Egypt in the last campaign allowed that's a good attraction environmental for improve any international investment. That part of that party is related to the way that we develop the relation with Africa and how we imposed our action with SADC and NASDAQ and also South Africa countries that allow us in this triangular improvement to go for bridging such development and investment. This way that the French businessmen joined that trip with Hollande here in Egypt. It's different classification, different branches. It's not only for governments agreements. 70% of that part is related also different kinds of investment. We talk about commercialities, we talk about energy, we talk about infrastructure, we talk
and
about
also a metro station.
Exactly, underground metro. I think these types, not only for that part, also a portion of main part is the military and combination between the two different technology, from the French military technology with our different technology in our military also used before. In this merge allowed to us that the activities, even for stability figures of the French businessmen, which it was ranked in number 6 in terms of most active countries we deal with. France was in stage number 3 in the previous 10 years and come up down to stage number 6 or 7 now related to the investment. By this tour, I think is already reactivate and accelerate the way that the French role will be more activation toward the area of infrastructure development in Egypt and a big portion of the energy development section.
Right. Dr. Qayoubi, before we delve more into this, the importance, the economic importance of that visit by the French president and the financial agreements and the memorandum of understandings that were signed and all that, let's talk about the press conference that was held upon the arrival of the French president, because there was a very important statement given by the French president. As usual, there was the topic of the human rights that was raised by some of the international media that were attending, and he said a very important statement. He said, of course, France has its principles and it has its policy, but when it comes to national security and development and terrorism, these are priorities. That marks a drastic exchange in France's policy and stance towards Egypt that has been taken for like almost 4 years since the Egyptian ousted the Brotherhood, the terrorist rule of the Brotherhood, and the militants took over and they were launching violence in Egypt and assassinating officials and all that. So how do you assess that important statement by the French president?
Just fully agree what a great introduction you delivered to also to explain to the people how the way you would transfer and transit must quickly from that critical stage in a history of Egypt. I think in the way that even some certain names or some certain politics men just visit the President Hollande in that part, and they try to highlight it that human rights in Egypt and a lot of their own mind, not actually what the country dealing with. As a country, we are the unique country now attacked the very well organized terrorism across our boundaries. And we are not deal only with this one, we deal with the terrorism inside our population, which is more tougher than what different countries or similar country we can suffer. I think the philosophy for our ultimate security to our country is the most important priorities. And I think I can just give a rough example what happened in France, even in Paris, in the last early of this year during the Christmas, and how this is affected directly for the security of the French peoples across the whole France, and how they are tackling and acting accordingly to spread the military across the country in high spot violences area. And this is not had been got any comments or any objections of the population. I think here in Egypt there is a lot of hand inside which try to promote some peoples to be in the opposite direction. I think our main purposes for our country now, and belongs even myself opinion, that to assure that the security ultimate to the country is mandatory. And because a lot of almost 75% of the population in Egypt looking for the bread, looking for continuous safe living. And the matter to do that one is to assure that there is a security allowed to the investment to be established in the country. Because investment is the reverse of unsecure. Unsecure, that's mean no investment. And I think that's clear. Even with a lot of rumors, a lot of people would like to deliver their opinion, not the country needs. The country needs is the economy to improve, to help most improvement in the living and most improvement for some balancing in the living of the all Egyptians. For that reason that we need to build better economy, better investment, varieties of investments in Egypt with different categories or categorized of different countries. And to do that one, we have at certain stage we have a democracy, and we have a lot of democracy allowed to these people even to meet the President Hollande and sit with him and discuss even the human rights in our country. So this is a clear.
On that particular note, do you think, of course, unlike other Western countries until this very moment, France has taken a totally different turn, as it's very obvious. And he became very obvious and open to the whole world when he said that statement. But do you think that final recognition of reality in Egypt, and that Egypt is taking a lead role in fighting terrorism and it's going to the right path and all that, happened because of what the violence, the wave of violence that happened in Paris, or because he came to a final rational state of mind as a mature country and started to realize facts as they are on the
all
ground?
that's conditions. It's the needs and belongs to even the needs of the French people or the French businessmen. You know, as I said to you, the French economy is coming to be in a stable stage, but with the violence of the tourism attacked the stability of the tourism in Paris. I think they are going to suffer a lot in the tourism section, and that party need to be more converted to another different sections of economy, which it's allowed to get improve their incomes in the next 10 years and 20 years. That's one of the most important, that the economics of French attitude will approach out of the Europe towards Africa as a portion and the Middle East as a second portion. And I said to you, the best condition of investment and economy to support is to go in the gate of Africa, which is Egypt currently, in terms of, like I said, cooperation, and in terms also for the future Egypt to go and invest inside these such countries. France has a very good relation, very good culture inside the major African countries, and specific even in Egypt. And one of our historical, the second culture is the French behave, and also it belongs to what we have as the English people was here in the colonial period in that time. So we're still looking for first language in Egypt is Arabic, the second is English, the third one is French. So our culture is still close. So what Holland and his
So it's
group,
cultural roots also.
exactly.
But like you earlier said, and we said in the program, that France is the sixth business or economic partner with Egypt now, and add to that also that Egypt is becoming the number one warfare market for arms deals to France. And add to that also the Rafale agreements or deals that were held earlier in February, to my knowledge, and the Mistral and all that. So with Hollande's term coming to an end, this is his final term as a social president to France, and he had the French people had their reservations against President Hollande. Do you think that these arms deals and that important visit to Egypt is going to add to his assets in his situation?
You know, well, as a Egyptian army, we are in a stage number 11 worldwide. And I think one of the best encourage even for the French technology in terms of military manufacturing and also military technology as a French, they are now willing to deal and improve such communications with one of the number 11 power military capabilities and technologies in the world, like Egyptian military. And in this stage, I think one of the best benefits, even not the deals, because maybe the money in terms of a deal for the French is not so big deal in terms of that, but it's a big deal for them that they already switch their technology from Central Europe to be in Africa in a grand army like our Egyptian army, which we have three technology. We're dealing with American technology in weapons and technology of facilities. We're dealing also with our old and new Russian technology. I think now the third opportunity that we are share now the French technology in our military usage, and this is will help even the market, the French market in terms of military technology to be exposed, more exposed in Africa or even in Central Middle East. Bearing in your mind also, it's not a part of that technology as a military only. France has a lot of investment in petroleum section and gas. And one or two of the grand companies they have in France is Total and Chevron. This is two grand companies. They have almost 18% of the total investment in oil and gas in the world. And I think a historical Total in Egypt was in a small party, not a big party like what they're looking for in the future, because in our agreement they are looking for to sell a gas in the domestic activities. Also, they would like to get for more improvement in terms of agreements for exploration and also campaign of production in Egypt, and this is a good portion belongs to us. Besides to that, also the infrastructure technology belongs to the renewable energy, belongs to France, is too positively in compared to Japanese, American, and also Canadian. You will find the technology of the French peoples belongs to the renewable energy. They use it in their buildings, they use it as a base in their infrastructure. They have a very well updated technology to convert it directly the electricity from the solar. Two deals had been set in that part. One part belongs to the solar generation, and the second part the wind also power station. And both this technology, I think, it may add a value to our local market in terms of supporting our needs of electricity and varieties to deal with the renewable energy as a portion of French technology.
Right. Of course, while we speak about these very important projects, we can also speak about the importance of the establishment of the French or the Egyptian French Business Council and the French businessmen who are located here and who are effecting those projects, that important projects that you are talking about, and the expertise that flow into Egypt, and the training sessions that are given to Egyptians, and the job opportunities and all that. How do you see the importance of the Egyptian French Business Council in effecting a developmental program of the economic development here in Egypt?
I just highlighted that as Egypt future, we try to go for multi-classification of experiences to improve our skills and our skilled people, specifically in the industrial section.
Right.
You know, well, that's a French development agency, which it's called AEFD, which is very traditionally and improve a lot of areas in Africa and Middle East, in Europe, in the Caspian. You will see that it may add a value to us when sharing such programs of training and programs of commitment to improve the HR or human resources we have. Appearing also in that such businessmen existed in that investment, it will help to transfer a good technology they have in France to be in Egypt and back again to 10 years or 15 years backwards. You will find that a lot of French manufacturing had been produced here in Egypt and, and export again to the Europe across their units here in Egypt. And this is good of the topics. They put it in their consideration, all the French businessmen in their tour to Egypt. And this is main of the target in the next agreements and activities with the French businessmen.
Right, Dr. Gamal Qayoubi, Future Center Manager for Economics and Politics. Thank you very much for your valuable time and sharing your input with Nile Cruise. Thank you very much for coming, sir. And now we're going to go to special reports with Nile correspondent Basma Taha, and we'll come back to you, so stay with us.